Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. We're picking right back up with episode 3, part 2. Picking back up where we left off, Harry was going off on his tangent about the royal correspondence and this so called unspoken contract.
So it's been an agreement that's been there for over 30 years.
So the next person that they introduce into this series to talk about the Harkles, to explain what this unspoken contract is a guy that has no relationship with the royal family or the inside works of the palace. And this guy happens to be a consultant and one of the strategic advisors for Archewell by the name of Tim Burt.
A sort of unwritten contract between the institution and the press.
So Tim Burt has advised with company leaders and family businesses for more than 12 years. For clients, he provides detailed industry intelligence, reputation risk management, and media engagement advice. So I'd like to ask, what qualifications does he have in dealing with the royal family and knowing how the palace works and how they operate? I call bullshit on this, and it's quite sad that they have to bring in somebody that they're paying already, a lot of money, I bet, to make stuff up and vouch for them. There's no evidence that he is presenting. And I think that this is like so reckless. This guy then has the audacity to go in and assume this.
And the way it's presented in the media is that the taxpayer in the UK pays for the royal family, and in return for those payments, there is an expectation that the royal family will be available to the media. And this is a sense of we pay, you pose.
But that's the narrative that these anti-monarchists are trying to push to get people to think, oh, well, you're paying for their lifestyle, then they should do whatever we say to do because we're funding pretty much their wealth. And that's not the case. This family is wealthy already. They do not take money for personal things like Meghan did. And I like to think that they're not spending money foolishly. Unlike the United States, where taxpayer money is going not only to fund a war that we didn't ask for, but also these politicians who preach about climate change, who preach about equality, and here they are taking taxpayers' money, these private jets that this one politician who Meghan Markle is so buddy with cost the taxpayer $1.2 million for it. So why I get pissed off when I hear about this IPP status being pushed? It's because it's that type of money that's going to be taken out of my pocket to go into funding these two ridiculous hypocrites who are not living a life of service, but instead living a life of self-service and taking, but giving absolutely nothing back. Unlike the royal family, they have brought in 1,000 times over what each taxpayer pays, whether it be, I think it's like $2, less than $2, and helping boost the economy for the people of the UK. This unspoken contract is a load of bull because it's not just the royal family who has an unspoken contract. Every single celebrity and politician in this world has an unspoken contract. It's just making nice with people who are going to report on you and ensuring that they say nice and positive things about them. Next, the paid consultant Tim Burt goes into explaining what the royal rota is,
by which certain media are allocated slots to cover the members of the family.
Like, so all royal news goes through the filter of all the newspapers within the royal rota, most of which, apart from the Telegraph, it happens to be tabloids.
Now, the Telegraph is owned by News Corp, owned by Rupert Murdoch, and as we all know, Harry has a bone to pick with Rupert Murdoch Corporation because of the phone hacking scandal. So I can understand the dig that he took there.
It all comes down to control. It's like, this family is ours to exploit.
Now, I want you to pay close attention to what Harry says next.
Their trauma is our story and our narrative to control.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the UK media is a very important aspect of the monarchy. And in fact, the monarchy depends on them to carry their brand forward in a way. Maintaining a good working relationship with them is absolutely critical. This is my opinion. Whether you agree with me or not, it's okay. I see this more of a power issue with Harry. considering that he just said their trauma is our story to control. We talk a lot about Meghan being the one who is the manipulator and being media savvy, but it's Harry who is the one that's media savvy. Unlike Meghan, Harry has been dealing with global media his whole entire life. Being in this family, he has gotten to see what happens behind the scenes, as well as some of the tricks, good and bad, that are used for PR purposes. There are a lot of dimensions to what Harry is thinking, but it really boils down to this power and ego struggle that he has within himself. Now, while though Harry is not a camera person, meaning like he's not all about getting his photos taken, he is very much a person who enjoys being around celebrities and high profile people. Now, what I'm about to say next, I would not have said this 2 years ago, but it appears as this story has evolved, Harry has become extremely bitter and jealous of seeing his brother continue to thrive and be doing the things that Harry ideally would want to do, such as hanging around celebrities and being welcomed by very important people in the political world. This is something that Meghan absolutely wanted, but I think over time, Harry is seeing that he was a part of that, but then he walked away, and now thinking that he was going to come to America and all of a sudden be this rock star, and that has not happened. He is bitterly jealous of seeing how he's failing and his family is thriving despite them leaving. And he knows Meghan wanted a certain life, but at this point, he's not able to give it to her because he is actually failing on all cylinders. And in their love story at the very beginning, I truly believe that both of them felt that the world was their oyster and that they were going to rule it, not in the sense of how it is today, but just very optimistic. I think that that mentality now has shifted into something a little more sinister. And going back to what Harry just said, their trauma is our story to control. Folks, after what I've witnessed over the last 24 hours in this docuseries manipulating the Queen's 1947 speech, I've come to the conclusion that this is not a love story. This is not even his gripe with the UK media, but this is something a little bit more serious. This is about destroying what he'll never be able to have back ever again. Harry and Meghan want power here in the US. In my video that I did yesterday, I couldn't understand how these two were able to act so normal on the same day that the exposed emails came out and the two of them were caught lying. And it didn't seem to faze them 1 ounce. But after thinking through this and focusing on the second piece, I understand now why that's the case. See, Harry understands how the media really works and how information travels. So I put this visual together today because I think it's important for my audience to understand what it is that we're dealing with here in the United States. I know many of you are overseas, and also scratch your head as to what is going on. Why is this happening in America? Well, this explains exactly what's going on. So 90% of our TV networks, this is not even covering magazines and newspapers, 90% of this media is covered by 6 conglomerates: CBS, Disney, NBC, ESPN, AMC, and Time Warner. Why this is important to know is that, well, 90% of our media that's being pumped out day in, day out, all have influence from Harry and Meghan. And let me explain what I mean by that. Each one of those networks, and I put Meghan's fugly face by each and every one of the networks that speak favorably, that support her, that don't see any of the lies, that don't challenge what they're doing. And Harry's face, his mug on each of the big conglomerates, because it's his money that is going into the pockets, and it is his name too. These executives are really wanting. It has nothing to do with Meghan Markle, but everything to do with hobnobbing with a prince from the royal realm. The really shady and dodgy people that Meghan and Harry are connected with want access to the family. It's not because they're particularly interested in what the family does. It's because they want to figure out how they can exploit them, whether it be monetary, whether it be for power and leverage. We all witnessed last week when Harry and Meghan came into New York and accepted an award by the RFK Foundation for structural racism. Now, we all know the truth, but unfortunately, as you can see, the media outlets that Meghan and Harry are aligned to are the majority of mainstream media. So now I can understand their attitude towards being exposed as liars. It's because they knew that the news was being suppressed here. Just like that laptop situation. Now I can't say that person's name because my video will be demonetized. So I'm going to go a little bit out of order now and talk about what this series really is trying to do and what I think is going to come in the next 3 videos, as well as where do we go from here. So this control of the narrative that Harry speaks of, yes, he is controlling his narrative, but at the same time, he is definitely trying to control his family's narrative for his benefit. What Netflix has done here is so disgusting. This series and the storytelling has been nothing but manipulative and subliminal with an agenda behind it. But nothing is being done about it in the United States. People don't see it as a big deal because, one, we don't understand the monarchy, and two, a lot of the information is not being funneled here and is not being covered because you see the monopoly that Harry and Meghan have on the media. What's frustrating is that we really don't have an accurate pulse on how people really feel about Harry and Meghan. And that's because they are paying for these lies to be pushed out. So when you have Netflix and Spotify reporting false numbers just because it's a marketing ploy to get people to watch the content, that's a problem. We lose all sense of gauge or understanding as to what society is gravitating towards, what society is believing, what society is not believing. And the quote that seems to be making a comeback, if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes accepted as truth. And this is exactly the tactics that Meghan and Harry are using. So far, this Netflix series has used stock photos, have Meghan and Harry telling many lies, manipulating the audience by putting flashes of pictures to sway the viewer to think a certain way, and then on top of it, showing us photos or imagery that make you associate subconsciously an unconscious bias. Yes. In this next clip, Afua, race baiter historian, goes into talking about the imagery around the palace. What is really manipulative and deceiving is that what they are showing is not anywhere featured in the palace. In fact, they just took these photos from wherever and now associating it to the monarchy for people to think that, yeah, this is quite racist.
You are likely to be faced with racist imagery. There are murals on the wall or carvings on the ceiling that depict enslaved people in a way that glorifies the institution of slavery.
This same historian then proceeds to explain what the Commonwealth is.
Britain calculated that it needed to grant these countries independence in a way that protected its commercial and capitalist interests.
So this woman is very much against the Commonwealth, thinking that it is the British Empire 2.0.
So it creates this privileged club of formerly colonized nations called the Commonwealth.
Privileged club? The Commonwealth is open to all nations. If America wanted to apply, we could. This is a voluntary association, and there are a lot of benefits by joining the Commonwealth. There's education opportunities, there's visa opportunities, there's business opportunities, there are trade opportunities where Britain and the Commonwealth country, they both mutually benefit. What is her issue? This part of the episode really, really upset me. This was the Queen's life work, and you have these Black historians who are radicalized that are clearly anti-monarchists that want this monarchy to be abolished.
Club of friends who share common values. I find that language really problematic. I sometimes call the Commonwealth Empire 2.0 because that is what it is.
For a professor, this guy is really ignorant. He knows nothing about the Commonwealth, nor has he ever been from a Commonwealth country to even make these claims.
Well, it's not changed a thing, it's just got better PR. And if you look at the black people in the Commonwealth, I mean, the conditions are almost just as bad as they were 50 years ago, 100 years.
That's an outright lie. That's not true. Notice this imagery as this woman's saying this.
And the roots of that poverty are based on the extraction of their wealth elsewhere. Those in Britain who extracted that wealth continue to be intergenerationally wealthy.
Wealth that both Meghan and Harry seem to be enjoying, so I'm not really sure I'm following this nitwit.
Those from whom it was extracted continue to be intergenerationally poor. It's a very clear economic relationship.
No, it's not, because if you really wanted to get out and do better for yourself, you would make it happen. And the Commonwealth offers opportunities that would not necessarily be available if they weren't in the Commonwealth. The people that are speaking out against the Commonwealth are opportunistic vultures, including Harry. Don't you think that he knows about the opportunities that could arise for his benefit should the Commonwealth be torn down? Of course he does. You don't think that there are people talking to him in the United States about the amount of money that could be made from trade? I go back to what I said a few moments ago. He said it's all about control. Their trauma, in this case, it is the origins of slavery and picking that scab off of that wound, and now make this Harry story in order for him to control the narrative. Harry had a hand in the imagery, Harry had a hand in the people that he brought on to the series, and Harry had a hand in approving the final product. So with this clip of them altering the Queen's 1947 speech, plus pairing it with imagery to give the viewer this subconscious, subliminal, unconscious bias that the monarchy is racist and that there should be no more monarchy to pull it down. This video was intentional to make it look like the Queen was in favor of having a British Empire and keeping it the way that it is, or the way that it was.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service of our great imperial family, which we all belong.
Netflix took out the most important line of that iconic speech, devoted to your service. Instead, they left it, or they edited it as, shall be devoted to the service of our great imperial family. The messed up thing about this is that Harry knows he can get away with it because, as I just showed you, Harry is controlling the narrative here in the United States. And while we all know that this was disrespectful to the Queen, this is not something that people understand here in the United States. We don't understand the Commonwealth, nor do people care. And what's dangerous about this is what we're witnessing is history actually repeating itself. And I'm not going to mention that certain dictator's name because that'll probably get this video struck. But also, whether they understand it or not, if they continue to keep doing this, this is going to affect America's and the UK's relationship. The UK is our biggest allies. And Meghan and her crazy followers are bringing this race shit to your door. As is in the United States, this is a problem. Many parents are upset about what this ideology is doing to the youth. And I say it again, these two are indoctrinating the younger generation. The more money they get, the more power and influence they have. So you tell me, is this right what Netflix did? This has nothing to do with the paparazzis. This has everything to do with Meghan and Harry saving face and addressing all those issues while actually doubling down on the lies that they told, because they're not going to be challenged. They're not being challenged here in the US, getting the Commonwealth to start peeling back one at a time so they can then start to go after it. Harry wants to rule something, and this would be the way to do it. But the destruction to come, well, listen to this parent's perspective.
Talk about critical race theory, which is pretty much going to be teaching kids how to hate each other, how to dislike each other. That's pretty much what it's going to. That's pretty much, I don't care what you say, it's pretty much what it's going to all come down to. You're going to deliberately teach kids, this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You're going to purposely tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed. How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? How did I get, first of all, time up, because I only got 5 minutes now, 5 minutes. 2 medical degrees, no mom, no dad in the house, worked my way through college, sat there and hustled my butt off to get through college. You gonna tell me somebody that looked like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that? Are you serious? Not one white person ever came to me and said, well, son, you're never going to be able to get nowhere because you know the black people. But guess what? What's sickening about this whole thing is what y'all doing right now is already something I do in my community right now to speak out against stuff, because black folks are getting told by other black folks, oh, you know you ain't going to be able to do nothing out there in the world because them white folks ain't going to let you get no, oh, you know you're not going to be able to do it here because you know, the white man going to keep you down. Well, how did I get where I am right now if some white man kept me down? How am I now directing over folks that look just like you guys in this room right now? How? What kept me down? What oppressed me? I worked for myself from off the streets to where I am right now. You gonna sit here and tell me this lie of critical race theory? Of this the reason why black folks can't get ahead because of white folks? Are you kidding me? This is what we come to now. I can't believe we even talking about this right now. The last thing I'm gonna say right here is something that's crazy. Martin Luther King said he wanted his kids to grow up in a world where they are judged by the contents of their what? Their character, not their skin. If they letting this stuff go on right now, it is absolutely doing the complete reverse of what he's doing. So when February comes, don't talk about Martin Luther King. When February comes, don't talk about Black History Month. Y'all gonna sit there and just pretty much pee on his grave with this nonsense? That's exactly what's about to happen. Lastly, we are talking about our kids. We are talking about our children. What's so sickening about me, I love the Discovery Channel. You will see that on the Discovery Channel, animals will put their lives on the line to protect their children from danger. Nobody want to get to the heart of the matter, get to the meat of the matter, get to the moral of the story. It all comes down to it. The person that's going to be suffering from this, the ones going to be hurt from this, is the kids. 10 years from now, if this stuff goes on, whose fault is it going to be? Whose fault is it going to be? Who we going to look back on and blame for this? Because this is stuff we talking about right now. This stuff is going on right now. I do this stuff on a daily basis. I'm in the hood. I'm in the communities. I'm out there with folks in their face. I've been doing this stuff since I was 18 years old, talking to black folks. And you know what? None of them are buying this nonsense. None of them are. But if you want to implement this into the school system, I guarantee you to the day that I die, I'm going to be the very person right there debunking stuff, tearing stuff down, letting them know they can do exactly what I did and get exactly where I am by putting themselves to work and getting there. And ain't not one white person ever going to keep any of them from getting there. So the CRT stuff, BS.
Could you imagine if this was William and he altered Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech? What do you think would have happened? The same anger and disruption that these people caused against Lady Susan Hussey needs to be replicated in defense of the Queen. I don't know why people are not protesting. I don't know why people are not making more noise. I can only do so much with my small little voice, but please share. Please make some noise. I'm going to stop here and pick this video back up tomorrow, finishing the review of episode 3, just in time for the next 3 to come at us. So I will be back soon with another review video, but until then, turn on your notification bell buttons. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
It was such a fraud.